Here's a weird question I just thought of now. Sort of a, what would that word be? A contingent reality type question. Shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Right.
The opposite of what you ever want to talk about, but here goes. Here goes something, if not nothing. What if Berry Gordy never existed, Motown never existed, it was just, I mean, you would have gotten by as a jazz man. People still sought after you for that. You still would have had a successful career, just maybe not as closely knit with stars,
of course not,
local
because
stars.
we needed rock and roll. We need all kind of music. You know, I didn't sell that many white pop, as they call it.
At your store.
At the store.
Yeah.
You know, the white artists, they had number one on the Billboard.
Regardless.
Right.
Yeah.
And in those days, you couldn't find one or two on the Billboard.
I see what you're saying.
Until Berry Gordy came on the scene.
And changed it all.
And
so
then
without him.
The Jackson 5, they was always on the Billboard, you know.
You know, okay, thank you for bringing up the Jackson family. You, off camera, before we started recording today, you were talking about glowingly in all kinds of every angle you can come at it, just about how wonderful this place is behind us, Hitsville, and what they've done to preserve the history. I mean, look at us now. We're trying to preserve history ourselves, you know. So we're kind of stewards and people who appreciate that, can understand what goes into it. When this was first established, sometime in the early '80s, Michael Jackson was on I think it was his Bad tour, and his first stop on the tour was at Pontiac Silverdome. He made $125,000 just on that one show, him alone. That was his take from the show. He donated that, a pair of bejeweled, or not a pair, a single. He never wore two. A single bejeweled glove, and I think like a fedora. So I think if you walk in there might still be a Michael Jackson shiny glove and fedora. And then he, like I said, he put $125,000 toward the founding of this place.
Well, see,
God bless him.
Probably did, but I'm saying
when
Jackson came in town, we saw them first. I think he had a private showing of them, and they came in, and I think they was at the Pine Knob.
Yeah.
Jermaine came to the store and invited me there, but at that time, Jackson 5 was kids. And which I loved them. And I used to play Michael Jackson on reel to reel at home all day long. And my friends and my ex-wife and her friend, they would laugh at me because you listen to Michael Jackson.
Because he's a kid.
Because he's a kid.
Yeah.
I said, but he got so much soul. Maybe he's been here before. And I always liked Michael Jackson.
You saw something in him. You heard something in him from the beginning.
I always liked him.
Yeah.
But I never got a chance to meet him. I think that when they was at Coburg Hall, they was invited down, but I had a problem with the police stopping me.
You turned down a chance to have them come to your store because you didn't want the pandemonium, the sort of Beatlemania,
right. Well,
Michael
I didn't
mania.
want Michael to come because
It's
going to get the kids in there and they're going to be stealing and taking things.
Tear up the store.
And
like
they come
in
and as it was, they come in with the coats and lay the coats to the records. When you walk out, everything is going on. And you know what I'm saying? It's bad, So I didn't let him come down. But Michael, so I never did get a chance to meet him.
Yeah.
But Jermaine, I did, and I don't know about Tito.
Well, because Jermaine Jackson married Berry Gordy's daughter, didn't he?
Right.
Because Jermaine Jackson, the second or the third, is Berry Gordy's grandson.
Right.
So it's all in the family.
All in the family.
And what was it? Berry Gordy's related to through one of his ex-wives, Marvin Gaye. He married Marvin Gaye's sister, I believe. Was his brother-in-law.
Marvin Gaye married Berry's sister.
Oh, I'm sorry. There you go.
They lived down the street from me. In fact, I lived on San Juan, and they was on Prairie and Outer Drive, and that's a couple blocks from me.
You'd be out mowing your lawn. You'd see him drive by.
Oh yeah, we waved. He always acknowledged me, but we never did sit down and just have a conversation. Like I said, I was a jazz man. I still do jazz people. But
it's so crazy.
Some of the people at Motown, like Norman Whitfield, I would see him every day.
From the Temptations, because
he wrote for the Temptations.
Was he the guy that his mother worked at Crowley's? Am I wrong?
His mother worked at Hudson.
Okay.
His, his mother worked at Hudson, and he would bring her to work
Yeah.
every day. And when he dropped off, he used to drive around him, because I was across the street like.
Yeah.
And we talk or have conversation. I go to the car sometimes, because he's not supposed to park out there. Sometimes he get away with a lot of things, because he drove a big car, you know. And but I would go sit in the car. We talk. You know, we always talk. When he made "Wish It Would Rain," he wrote it for the Temptation. He came by that morning, and he left. And he came back, and he called me to the car. He said, "I want you to hear something." He had it on the tape recorder. He had some pigeons squeaking. He said he went to Belle Isle and he taped them. And he said, "I'm gonna put this in the record." And I laughed at him.
All the way back then was using found, organic audio in music. Very, very unique for that time, for that long ago.
Right. But and then he was friends with everybody in the store anyway too. But Norman, you know, and then too, I had the store at the 20 Grand. Next door to the 20 Grand, I had a store there. It was owned by. We was involved. I put it there with Roger Brown of the Detroit line, Mike Hanks, who owned, I think he had the Webwood Inn, and he had D-Town Records, which is down the street here. Man. And we all together, Roger Brown played for the Detroit Lions at football. They all had money together, and they had a store at the 20 Grand. Miss Keywell was involved with it, but I ran it for her.
Yeah.
I set up the store, I organized everything, I hired the employees over there, and I would go there 2 or 3 times a day and check and see what's happening. They would be open to 2 o'clock in the morning, and sometimes I'd get out of bed and go down and check on the store, and that's where I did all the runaround for Florence Skewell. It was called then Monroe Music, but like I said, we was together for those years. She started me out, but when we divorced, when we broke up, she moved to the suburb, and I stayed downtown.
Business divorce, not marriage divorce.
Right.
For the people who might be tuning in late to the game, yeah.
And I put Lee's Monroe instead of Monroe Music, because Lee is my middle name, street is Monroe, and Keywell tried to. Well, anyway.
Yeah, it's too bad.